recommend to the legislature a solution to balanced billing. That has never been done. The department has not fulfilled that mandate, and if you think they're going to fulfill this role any better, I think you're wrong. We respectfully request a no vote. Thank you.
Mr. Jones, proponents and opponents. I was advised by staff that according to the rules, we can have a hearing next week. We're not limited to just this week. You think it might be helpful for us to put over this bill until next week, since we have time, so that we could resolve some of the differences?
Well, I think
and you may
challenge
not be able to answer for Mr. Parada. I understand that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't have an opportunity to consult with the senator right now, but I think the senator's desire would be to allow the bill to go forward. I think the senator and the office are committed to working with the chair and the chair's staff on the issues that we've had a lot of discussion about in the committee. I think the concern about putting it over a week is that, frankly, there's going to be quite a bit of activity in the legislature in the last week, and I would hate to see the negotiations that, frankly, need to happen starting tomorrow be delayed yet again because there's going to be another hearing, and then those discussions won't occur until after that. So I think the senator's preference would be to be permitted to move the bill forward with the commitment that he'll work with the chair and the staff of the chair and the stakeholders on the issues that have been identified here. I have a question for Mr. Barnaby, too. The author's office tells me that they've not seen the proposal. Is that something that could be provided to the author's office?
Sent it to you yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay, wonderful. So we'd be happy to look at that. I don't think we've had a chance to review it yet, but again, we're interested in all stakeholders' views on how best to try to accomplish this.
Today we had major controversy about SB 434, and the stakeholders sat together and finally worked out some language which was accepted by the senator, and the opposition disappeared. And I'm wondering if Mr. Parada were here, he probably could answer the question. A week might solve the problem of both votes and a compromise. Dr. Hernandez.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a statement. Obviously, there's still some concerns out there. There seems to be a fairly understanding with regard to the author's office to work with the opposition, but it seemed like the interim payment rate still seems to be the issue at large. I'd be willing to commit to a vote to get it out today with the understanding that you work in due diligence with the opposition to work with it, and then I reserve my right to take a look at it back on the floor if you're going to obviously work with the concerns of the opposition.
I think the senator's office understands that members are not bound by their vote here, and that there are some significant issues still at play that need to be resolved. It's the senator and his office's intention to resolve those as best they can. Whether we'll have 100% unanimity, I don't know if we can promise you that, but we'd ask for your consideration. Let the senator move the bill forward, work with the stakeholders, and then if members still have significant concerns, then they can cast their vote accordingly on the floor.
Ms. Hancock, the lady from Berkeley.
Yeah, Mr. Jones and Mr. Panish. I have many of the same concerns that Dr. Hernandez mentioned. Could you review for me why the choice of Medi-Cal billed charges as opposed to the Medi-Cal payment rate was chosen when the billed charges are so much higher, and why that wouldn't encourage billed charges to be even higher? Or do we think that the Medi-Cal payment rate is so very low that nobody can see patients now under it? I
think it's the latter. I think I think there's widespread agreement, and this committee has certainly dealt a lot with this issue about the paucity of the Medi-Cal reimbursement rates, and the contract rates are higher. The argument's been made by CAPG that we should go with the average contract rates, but the fact of the matter is that there are many physicians who are out of contract who are charging and getting rates higher than the contract rate. So we tried to take something that was quantifiable, identifiable.
If I could just ask,
yes.
They're getting them by billing the patient.
That's right. Which is exactly what we want to end with this.
Which we want to end.
That's right.
So if
That's
we
right.
did go with the average contract rates, why wouldn't that be better?
I think the concern you heard from the ER physicians is that there are significant numbers of physicians outside of the contracts because they believe in some cases the plans are using their bargaining position to drive down rates below what their customary and true cost is of providing the service. So I think the concern is that the average contracted rate only looks at a subset of the market. It's those that have agreed to enter into contracts. It does not look at the in some markets, broader volume of physicians who've decided that contract doesn't reimburse them properly. And so we're trying to find an interim payment standard that strikes a balance between those two issues. That's why we chose the 50th percentile, the median of the charges. The author's office is open to the suggestion that's been made by a number of the speakers about trying to do this on a market-by-market basis because there are market variances. So the notion of a interim standard across the state probably doesn't make sense, and so that's a very good suggestion, and that's being looked at as a part of the final workout. But I think that's the rationale for why this ended up where it did.
Okay, because one of the things that occurred to me listening to the discussion was if, for example, rural hospitals have a difficult time attracting physicians, if you did go with the average rate, it might be higher, but it might encourage more physicians to be part of it. What would an ER physician do if they thought that the interim rate was too low, but they were prohibited from billing? They just wouldn't be an ER physician?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, and I didn't stress this enough in my prior remarks. The interim rate is exactly that. It's an interim rate, and there's a dispute resolution process under the bill for both parties to come in if they're not happy with the interim rate to make their case as to why it should be higher or should be lower. And baseball arbitration is chosen as the way that decision gets made to try to keep, frankly, both parties honest with regard to putting essentially their last best offer forward instead of gaming the system. Yeah. So the mechanism exists under the bill to try to find the right price point in an individual market. The interim payment is interim. It's going to be imperfect no matter where we set it. We recognize it needs to be adjusted from where it is here, but that's not the end of the process. It's an important part of the process, though, because it means that you don't force the physician to essentially be the banker while they're waiting for the process to unfold, and so that's why we think there needs to be an interim payment.
Thank you.
Dr. Hernandez.
So sorry to keep doing this to Senator Jones, and I don't want to write legislation here in committee, and I'm hoping that after this we can either move on and you can do it afterwards. And I was listening to the comments what the good doctor said about with regards, and I couldn't agree with him more, how the fees are different in different parts of the state. For example, like in a rural area, the overhead is much less than, say, in Beverly Hills. Why wouldn't you consider then using the median rate, or let's say the basis rate of, say, Medicare? The way Medicare does reimbursement rates to physicians, it's based on regional areas, whether it's Los Angeles, Northern California, Southern California. It's based on the average billing rate, and then they will turn around and pay those. Perhaps you may want to consider, let's say, a percentile of Medicare reimbursement rates, which is definitely much higher than Medi-Cal, and I'm assuming most physicians would be happy and elated to take a Medicare reimbursement rate. That's just a suggestion. I don't know.
It's a fair suggestion, and particularly the part about regionalizing it so that whatever the referent is, we're looking at individual markets, because that is absolutely critical, because as you know, those markets vary dramatically.
Okay, members, Senator, you may close.
Well, thank you for allowing me to present this on behalf of Senator Prada. The Senator thanks you as well. We would ask for permission, the Senator would ask for permission to be allowed to move the bill forward, recognizing that there continues to be work to be done and that we need to stay in close communication and work with the committee chairman and the staff on the issues that have been identified in this hearing.
Mr. Chair, I'll second the bill. I'll second the bill.
Mr. Mullen moves. Second.
Been moved by Dr. Hernandez.
Members, before we take the roll call, I want to remind you we have one measure on call, so don't leave. Secretary, call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry, Doc, I'm sorry. Okay.
If you don't, I will.
Do pass.
I'll make the motion.
Motion, do pass to appropriations. Secretary call the roll.
Dymally,
Not voting?
Nakanishi,
Not voting.
Berg. Berg, aye. Carter. Carter, aye. De La Torre. Mullins.
Aye.
Mullins, aye. Emerson. Gaines. Gaines, no. Hancock.
Aye.